All right, everyone. We will go ahead and kick things off now. Faye, thank you so much for joining us again and lending your expertise to our ecosystem. Everyone, Faye is a regular. She has been in this ecosystem for a few years now and has been advising and mentoring startups in this space for quite a while. This is the next session of our company culture segment of the Founder University of Nevada series. Faye, she's been here for a few years, but she spent the last 12 years in the startup ecosystem, from being an early employee at startups, launching her own ventures, and working in venture capital itself. So she knows a lot about operations, teams, and the raising capital process as well. Faye is currently founder and president of Faye Almeshaan, or FA Consulting, helping startups scale, strategically plan, and build high-performing teams. And without further ado, Faye, thank you so much for joining us again. I will stop sharing and pass this over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Logan. I think we're like in webinar mode, so I don't think I can like hear anybody if they speak. But I was going to ask a few questions if maybe you can answer, Logan. What is the like average stage of the companies that are on the that are watching right now?
Average stage of the companies, and of course, everyone, please put in the chat if you have feedback on this. We do encourage participation on the chat. Average stage of the company right now is kind of a little bit across the board. We have some very early companies that are ideating currently. They have an idea, they want to address feasibility, they think they may raise capital in the future, they will want to scale, they're doing customer research, et cetera. And we also have some that are post-venture MVP that are looking to take it to the next level at that point. We may even have a few in here that are at probably accelerator stage, ready to take capital at this point. So we have quite a mix in the cohort.
Yeah. Okay. I'm seeing even the comments. Super wide pool. So I will. So the way I'll run the presentation is I'll share basically bare bones structure of how I think companies need to set themselves up for success, and I'll bring up little points about whether if you're earlier or if you're later, what you need to think about at this stage. But as with everything, obviously this is bare bones, and then based on the stage that you're at, based on your industry, even based on the types of team that you have, things will need to be shifted and changed around to make it perfect for you guys and how your team likes to operate. So Logan gave a lovely introduction. That is me. Today we'll be doing a mission statement workshop, but I did want to bring in vision statements as well. For a particular reason when it comes to planning out your business. This is one of my favorite quotes. I always add it in, especially when I'm talking about mission vision statements. The most important role of a leader is to set a clear direction, be transparent about how you get there, and stay the course. And I think a big part of my work with startups revolves around those three things that are bolded in this saying. And I'm not just saying this because I like cookies, because Mondelez makes Oreos, but I'm saying this because I think if you're clear about where you want to go, if you're transparent about how you're going to get there, and if you actually stick it out and grind it out, I think there's very little that, well, no, not very little. I was going to say very little that can go wrong. A lot can go wrong in startups. But that sets you up for a really strong foundation to build everything else on top of it. So for today in particular, one is I want you to leave with three outcomes. Hopefully we'll accomplish all of these. The first is understanding the value of alignment. So I really think it's important for folks to recognize that, whether you have co-founders or whether you already have a team, depending what stage you're at, the value of getting everybody aligned to know what direction you guys are going in. So understanding really the value of alignment and the value of clarity, right? Like the reason why these statements are so important, because I know, and I would love you guys being open with me and giving feedback and dropping comments in the chats. But I know a lot of people don't see the value in statements, right? They're like, well, we're grinding, we're getting it done, we don't need these statements. But I want to talk today a lot about the value of that and why it's so important. And then the second thing is we are going to draft a mission statement, potentially also a vision statement. We'll work on those drafts today. And so you'll leave today with at least something written down, and you can wordsmith and refine it later. And then the last thing is a framework to drive team results. So apart from just the mission and vision statement, what else is there needed to lay the foundation for a strong operational execution? So hopefully we'll get through all of that today. Please excuse me. I know I'm sounding really rough and sniffly, but the allergies have been crazy in Vegas. Okay, so this is a very popular strategic management framework. It talks about like everything all the way from the obscure of like, where do you want to be in 10 years down to like, what do we need to get done every week? And I think this is very valuable, especially me as an operator. Sometimes it's really tough to pull yourself back and look at big picture vision. And in the same breath, go down to what do I need to do today? What does the team need to do today? And so I found that this has been the most helpful framework with me. And I'll walk you through every step. So first is vision and mission. You'll see for me, I always put the vision on top, but this is actually a very debated topic in the industry. Some people believe in using mission statements first. Some people believe in vision. The reason I put vision up front is because I was a venture capitalist. I've worked for VC-backed startups, so we're very big on vision. We're like, all right, where do we need to be in 10 years for our investors to be happy, right? 10x in 10 years or whatever. And so a lot of that requires a focus on the long term, right? You need to be thinking about that as the founder, as the CEO of the company. And so we tend to focus more on vision. I will say there's a lot of people that believe in mission being first. I believe Maggie's one of them. And people that, mission statements work really, really well for companies that think their mission comes first and foremost. And usually that means nonprofits, it means social enterprises, companies that have a really, really strong mission statement, and they're running this company for a very particular reason, to make a really impactful change. And so depending on how you feel about your company, I would suggest starting with either the mission or the vision statement. For today, we're going to do a mission for everybody because that was the title of the topic. But if you are, planning on raising a ton of money, want to grow really quickly, I highly recommend doing vision as well. Third comes core values. I think you've probably heard that. That's like the most common thing people always say. Oh, right, Maggie, these values come first. You're right. I forgot. My bad, Maggie. Which totally makes sense. Maggie's very values driven, and mission driven as well. So that's why I got confused. So I think you guys have heard this statement before. You hear all the time, business, like, do you have your mission, vision, values? Do you have your vision, mission, values, right? They always put those three together. And why? Because they're the most abstract. They're the guiding principles, right, of your company, whether it's like what you see yourself 10 years, what you want to be accomplishing, or how you're going to be doing them, right, via the values. And so values are super important. We won't go over them today. I think values, like, honestly, the way that I usually run my value sessions is actually having the entire team come together, especially the founding team, and getting them to build the values together, because you get to take pieces of everybody and build something that's really cohesive and really works well for how you guys are as a team. But we won't be going over that today. And then after that starts getting a little bit more tactical, right? This is the stuff that actually needs to get done. I use OKR frameworks. If you guys aren't familiar, it's objectives and key results. The idea is you set objectives for your company for the year or for the quarter, and then you stretch yourselves as much as possible to try to hit those objectives using key results. You set that for the company. So you say, okay, this year we want to hit 10 million in revenue, right? And then each department goes and supports those key company objectives. So obviously sales will say, hey, we're going to try to get to that number. Operations will say, we're going to be scalable so that we can onboard the clients fast enough so we can hit that revenue. So that goes down to the department leads. And then finally comes down to individual KPIs. So what does every person need to be doing? What are their SLAs? How are they actually accomplishing this? And how are we tracking that they're accomplishing this? And so you see it goes from super vague 10 years from now all the way down to how does every single individual person help make that vision a reality? And so it all ties in really nicely together. For today, like I said, vision and mission. Okay, cool. So we'll start with vision. Like I said, some folks prefer to start with mission on top, vision on top. Either way, we'll do both today. And so we'll be able to, how do I go backwards? We'll be able to hopefully get through and have drafts of both. All right, so before I dive into one or the other, I wanted to talk about both of them at the same time. There's a lot of confusion between the difference between mission and vision. They kind of rhyme, they kind of sound the same, but also a lot of companies' mission and vision statements sound very similar. And there's a reason for that, right? And so the distinct difference is that vision is what you see in your head 10, 20 years from now. So as founders, you guys have amazing visions. You're like, I imagine that. Let's take like Mark Zuckerberg, for example, when he was imagining Facebook. He was like, I imagine a world where every single person is connected online. That sounded crazy at the time. Everybody's like, what are you talking about? That doesn't exist. There's no way that can happen. And so a vision is a little bit out there. It's a little bit like, this is what I see the company is going to be doing. We're going to be a leading company. We're going to take over the world. We're going to do all of these things. And so it's very, very ambiguous, large, grand. It's the type of thing investors want to see in your pitch deck, right? Like in 10 years from now, this is how my company is going to be dominating. And the missions, so that is like your long-term, your vision. The mission statement is a bit more about your purpose. Now, a lot of startups these days call themselves mission driven, and that's because startups are trying to change the world, right? Whether that's in something very little, like supporting individuals in finding coaches, right? A marketplace for that, or whether it's something really large like social media, like we're going to connect every single person in the world, right? Even no matter how you feel about social media, I actually really like social media as a Middle Eastern. I know that it helped the Arab Spring and it helped us organize and revolt. And so I see the value in it. And so whatever your mission is, whatever the mission statement is, more your purpose, right? So whatever you feel like your company is here to make a difference, and how are you making that difference? So we'll start with vision statement. So why is this valuable? This is the part where I preach to you that this is important. So the vision statement is trying to help other people see what you see in your head. It helps them envision the future you see so clearly in your mind. A lot of times when we talk to founders, you guys, these companies are your babies. You're obsessed with them. You love the idea of them. And what ends up happening is it takes you 3 hours to explain what your vision is. And so spending the time to actually think about how can I make this, and Logan's laughing because I'm sure Logan's heard so many pitches. If you can get this down to one sentence, it becomes so incredibly powerful to explain to so many other people what you see in your head. So going over some of the value, like a clear vision helps you, communicate the aspirations clearly, right? Saying, this is exactly what we do. People have questions, sure, you can go over it a little bit more, but it helps you become really, really clear on that one vision that you're working towards. 2, it rallies excitement from everybody around you. So it gets your employees excited. They're like, whoa, we're going to be there in 10 years. Your clients get excited because they're excited to be with a company that's growing so quickly and has this huge vision, and also gets your partners excited. So everybody that's a part of your journey, including your investors. 3rd, it focuses your team's energy on the big picture and long-term strategy. So another thing that we see very common with founders is, shiny squirrel syndrome, like ADHD, like, oh my God, okay, I started this company, but also what if I start a company here? Or what if I move into 10 industries at the same time? Or what if I launch globally all at once? And that really shifts your focus, right? When you build a business and then you think about like 3 other types of businesses that you could be launching. And so a vision that you set today, it's not set in stone, right? A vision like will last you a few years. But the great thing about a vision is it helps you say, okay, if it's not helping us get there, we shouldn't be wasting our time doing it. So if you think about, actually, Amazon is a really good example. When Amazon first started, their vision was about being a global bookstore. They were like, we're going to sell books to everybody. Obviously, their vision is completely different today. I actually have it later in the deck, so we'll see it. But their vision is completely different today because they don't just sell books. They do sell globally, and so they have different aspirations. And finally, the vision statement also helps you reinforce your brand internally and externally. People know where you're trying to go, what type of person you're trying to be, how you're trying to get there. So that is the value of a vision. A few examples. Oh, I think Amazon was here. Yeah. Google's vision statement today is to provide access to the world's information in one click. So I don't know how old everybody is in the audience, but if you've been using Google for the last 10, 20 years since they really started, you can see the iteration and how they've gone towards that vision. So Google, at the beginning you'd Google something and then you'd have to get to like page 4 and it was only 4 pages. And so you're like, dang, I didn't really find what I wanted to find. And they got really, really good, right, at search engine optimization. And now every time you search, you probably, I've never clicked Google page 2. I haven't clicked it in a long, long time. Then they started including things from other websites, right, where you didn't even have to leave Google. So if you Google, what time is the movie next week? It'll actually pop up. And now the newest thing they have this week that's helping that even more is that they've included generative AI. So when you Google something, Bard is actually on there. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I actually accepted the generative AI thing because I think they obviously track your information. I accepted it. Now, every time I Google something, AI helps me figure out exactly what I want and it's learning from me. So They're getting so much better at just that one click, getting me every single thing that I need. Still not perfect, so it's still their vision. The next is Accenture. I tried to use a non-tech company just to give like a variety of like different types of visions. I really like Accenture. Accenture is, if you're not familiar, big consulting firm. They have a lot of different practices, and they work closely with tech. And so Accenture's vision statement is to become one of the world's leading companies. And that's just full stop, right? We want to be one of the world's leading companies. However, they define that, bringing innovations to improve the way the world works and lives. And so helping these companies in bringing these innovations to life. And then finally, the Amazon one. Amazon's kind of crazy. I feel like Amazon its own beast, but their vision statement is Amazon strives to be Earth's most customer-centric company, Earth's best employer, and Earth's safest place to work. So they have three things that they're focused on, right? They want to be the most customer-centric company. So if you think about a company that cares about their customers, they want you to think Amazon. Second is Earth's best employer. So funny because when you think about customer centricity, one of the first things you think of is Zappos, right? And it's hilarious because Amazon bought Zappos. So they're like, hey, if you're also good to your customers, we're going to take you, make you part of Amazon. So yeah, customer-centric company, Earth's best employer. They're clearly not there. Yeah, they're thinking about expanding places on Earth. I was actually going to make a joke like, this has been their statement for a few years now, but now with all this alien stuff, I'm like, Jeff knew something and he didn't tell any of us. And then the last one is Earth's safest place to work. Obviously, the last two are because of complaints they've been getting, right, over the years of it not being a great place to work, of it not being a safe place to work. And so what they're doing is they changed their vision statement to say, hey, we might be, the biggest logistic company, we might be really good at all these things, but we're already that. Our vision for the next 10 years is to improve on all the things we're not there yet on, which happens to be very employee related. I would actually argue that they probably are like one of the most customer-centric companies. I moved to Vegas from Canada, and like there's not really an Amazon presence in Canada as much. And when I moved here, I was blown away. I fully understood why people love Amazon. Like things delivered in the same day, crazy. Like, you remember ordering stuff on the internet like 5-10 years ago? So annoying. You wait like 2 weeks for them to like process it until you get a tracking number. They might not send you a tracking number, and then you get your package in like 5 weeks. It's ridiculous. Okay, so how do we put together a vision statement? Question, Richard. How often should vision be revisited and edited? That's a really good question. There's no standard for it, so it's not like objectives where you have to revisit them every quarter, every year, and it's like pretty strict. A vision statement is more so if you feel like you've gotten there, or if you feel like your vision's changed, it's time to update it. I will say that with a caveat. Founders feel like their vision changes every week. So please don't go revising this every week. I would say, probably when you get to your year end and you're reviewing your year, you can look it over and say, hey, are we still on track to hit our vision? Have we deviated? And then consider potentially making a change. I would advise like even less than that, but I know for startups, it's, it changes more often, especially when you make a big pivot. So yeah, no hard and fast rules there. Okay, so vision. What components make a good vision statement? Think of a vision statement as a prediction of what your company will look like once you've achieved massive success. So you guys probably all dream about this, right? You're like about to go to sleep, you can't sleep, and you're like, oh, I can't wait till I'm super rich and I raise $100 million and my company is doing X, Y, and Z. Take that vision, take that image and really visualize it and see what are the components of it that get you really excited, right? Take out the money. Don't have the vision statement and be like, I wish I was rich. Take that image that you're seeing and make that your vision statement. And so what this usually includes is components of your customer, it could include, so you don't have to include all 4 of these. One is your customer. Amazon was a good example, right? They wanted to be the most customer-centric company. So who is your customer? What do they want from you? What is it that you want to deliver to them? So let's say you're selling like really healthy dog food. Like maybe your vision statement is to make sure that no dog, struggles with certain diseases that come from like eating poor food, right? So you're taking into account your customer, think about like what you deliver to them, what you want your image to be in their eyes. Then think about the problem that you solve. So, for Amazon, it was people couldn't get whatever they wanted whenever they wanted. That's crazy. And so they wanted to make that happen. Solution, think about the Google example of like the one click. Like their solution is like, okay, we want everybody to get all the information, one click, no more. And so they really, really focused on that. And then you can also consider your moat if you have a really strong defensible moat. For those that don't know what a moat is, it's basically your company's defensibility. So a great example is like, do you know what I'm English is my second language, and I learned moat in the context of business. So very recently I learned that it was actually something before business. So right, the moat is like those castles that have those like they dig around them and then they put water in it and then they have to put the bridge down. And so it's their defense, like no one can come attack them. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So your moat is basically your business's defensibility. What do you guys have that makes it hard for other companies to come and take over? So do you have IP? Do you have patents? Do you have a really strong team? It's the only team that can, you guys have the only AI engineer that knows how to build a specific thing. Whatever the moat is, that can also potentially be part of your vision, but again, only if it's really defensible. So yeah, take into account those components, and it can be other components. Again, this is your vision. This is what you see for the future. Okay, so I think we can take like 10 minutes. I'll give you guys 10 minutes. Write out. No, actually, I'll do 5 because we're almost halfway through. Okay, let me set my timer. I'll give you guys 5 minutes to do this exercise. Do I have any? Let me go back to the actual slide. Think about one sentence. I'll even like open here. Look how short these are, right? So I've done this presentation where somebody wrote like a whole paragraph, but it was a run-on sentence. It was really, really long. Don't do that. Make sure it's very short. It's very gets to the point. And remember, like it's not, this isn't going to be forever. This is just what you imagine for your company now. So I'll start my timer for 5 minutes and then I'll unmute and let you guys know when it's done. And then maybe some of you guys will share on the chat and we can review a few of them. Sound good? All right, 5 minutes starting now. Okay, I was trying to like write back to everybody. We still have like 3 minutes left, but I'm just gonna read through the comments and then give feedback as we're going. Barton, I saw yours first to change the way the music industry connects and conducts business, research, and mitigation. Well, I think that's really good. It's specific in terms of like what you want to see change, but I would also say what is the impact of that change? So like, is it that, our mission is no music artist is going to take advantage of because I don't know what the business does, but there's potential opportunity to be a little bit more specific in how you are, how your company makes that better. John, I think yours is good. Safe flights vision statement. I think it needs to be wordsmithed a little bit more, but also I think we can, this is up to you, but I would recommend removing some of the jargon. So it's it gets a little bit too specific in terms of the industry, right? Like public safety and the centerpiece of the international low altitude airspace response. Is that like drones, low altitude? And forces infrastructure delivered through an incredible team that leads innovation. I love the centerpiece word. I think that's really, really cool. How it's the centerpiece of this industry that you want to create. I think it needs to be wordsmithed a little bit more so it's not so wordy and is a little bit clearer for the people you're trying to work with, especially if they're not in the industry. Human potential that moves people, ideas, and businesses forward. Because I really like this, to power human potential that moves people, ideas, and forward. I have to know a little bit more about what your business does. Is it like an HR tech solution to power human potential, people, ideas, and businesses forward? Yeah, I think it'll have to be a little bit more specific so we know what the company does when we do read it. But I do like it. It's really simple, and I love the term power. Like it powers all of these things. I think you can add a little bit more about, the impact that it's going to have, like how does it power them? But I think it's on a good path. Certus, to become the most sophisticated insured focus commercial real estate underwriter in the world. Oh, I like this a lot, Mark. To become the most sophisticated, insured, focused commercial real estate underwriter in the world. Yeah, that tells me a lot about what your company wants to do. Um, and it's pretty ambitious too. Because I mean, I'm not too familiar with the insurance space, but I know they're already very sophisticated and very insured. And so to be the most sophisticated and insured, focus on commercial real estate, also specific enough that it's like not just all insurance, not just all underwriting. It's this very specific thing. And in the world, I really like that. That's really strong. Charge your car every time, no worries and no guessing. Our vision is to be able to charge your car every time, no worries and no guessing. Interesting. It's a little creative. I like it. Charge your car. You guys are good. Are you guys already creating your vision statements? Charge your car. I really like that. I know you're working on EV charging. I don't know exactly like the product, but I think based on what you've told me so far, I think this is really strong. And I think it speaks a lot to your customer. So people know like this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to make the EV charging game super easy, super simple. You don't have to worry about anything. To create an innovative product which saves lives and improves pedestrian safety. Richard, this is good. It's obvious. It sounds like you haven't created the product yet, so I understand why you added to create. If you want this to be a longer lasting vision statement, which I would definitely recommend, I would say just remove the word create. So to remove create a product. So the idea is the statement should sound like, you know, that's already happened, and say something like, our vision is to save lives and improve pedestrian. Our vision is saving lives, saving pedestrian lives. It's not as grand because it could mean like, oh, you saved one life. Like, is that good enough? Did you already hit your vision? I would try to make it a little bit more grand and talk about like, you know, how big this can go. Like, we want to say, you know, we want the streets to be a safer place, or we want no one to ever get in an accident because of an autonomous vehicle. I mean, I'm not sure if your company is autonomous, or I'm assuming it's something related to that. But it could be something like that that's very big, and you know, we want complete safety on the streets. But I totally see why you did that. Like I said, probably haven't built the product yet, and you're just thinking about like, how do we even get there? Helping call center agents deliver better customer service. Oh, okay, that's what your statement is about. To power human potential that moves people, ideas, businesses forward. Yeah, I think it's a little disconnected. I think there's a way we can make it more specific so that people know it's about call center agents. Maybe we can say, you know, because I also wonder like where the ideas part comes in. It could be something along the lines of, you know, we want everybody that calls into a call center to have the best experience, or we want, you know, however your business does it particularly, it could be, I think the vision can be a little bit more specific to your industry. David, any chance to connect later? Yeah, for sure. At the end of this, I drop my email, so you can always email me. You can always reach out. I'm pretty around. I go to a lot of events here in Vegas, and I try to mentor as many startups. And if you're doing the program later today, Incubate Vegas, I'll be there today as well. Dave, enable ubiquitous data protection. Yeah, like I said, I'm an immigrant, so I don't know what ubiquitous means, but it sounds like it protects everything. Ubiquitous data protection or total. Enable. Yeah, let me Google that real quick. Dead routes not only preserve but introduce the historic West Side to the world one parcel at a time. Oh, cool. West Side of Vegas. I just learned about that like a few months ago. To not only preserve but introduce one parcel at a time. Oh, interesting. I'm curious what the parcel is. It like a one building at a time? That's really cool. I think that statement is really, really strong, Deidre. That looks really good. Okay, cool. We got through that. So you guys have your drafts for your vision statements. What we'll do next is we'll go through mission statement as quickly as we can. We have 20 minutes. But you guys will take these drafts with you, and then you'll workshop them and you'll wordsmith them later. And you'll fit them into this framework, right? And so let's get to the next one. Mission statement is the second thing on here. Later you guys can create your company values. And then I would highly recommend everybody use OKR framework. It's my favorite. I've read all the books on them. If you guys ever need anything, I can definitely share learnings or articles or books you want to read on. But let's do mission. So why is the mission statement valuable? So a mission statement, you're defining how you're working today to achieve that mission. Think of it as like, okay, this is our purpose, and this is how we're going to get to that ultimate vision. So it can be stuff that you're already doing today. Whereas the vision is like, okay, we're not even close to that. It's almost like a scary statement. Like, we're going to save every single pedestrian. No one's ever going to get hit by a car, like things that are a little bit like very, very out there. Whereas the mission statement is not, far reaching. It's what you're doing today. And it's like, it's kind of like the statement that keeps you going day in and day out because it's your purpose. It's what you really, really believe in. It's why you built this company. It's the why behind everything. And so a clear mission statement will help you reinforce your organization's identity and brand. It'll tell people like, this is why we're here. This is what we care about. It'll set clear expectations internally and externally, similar to values like, we don't tolerate things that are outside of this. This is what our goal is. This is what our focus is. And then lastly, it sets boundaries around what you do and therefore what you don't do. And this goes back to like even the vision statement, like being a little bit specific so that, how did my thing close? Being specific so that, people are, so that you and your team are focused, right? And you're not like running in too many different directions. You understand like what the purpose is. Okay, mission statement examples. I use the exact same 3 companies so you can see the difference between the mission and the vision statements. You'll notice they're a little bit similar, but very different in terms of like how it's used and how it works for your team and your company. So Google, let's go back, let's hide it real quick. So remember, Google was, our vision is we want everybody to have access to all the information in the world, one click. And their mission statement is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. So their purpose is to say, hey, we want everybody to have all the information they need. We want everybody to, have access to everything. Anytime somebody writes anything anywhere, it should be on Google. It should be easily findable. It should be accessible. It should be useful, right? And that's why they optimize their engine so efficiently, because they're like, if you Google, how do I create a mission statement? It shouldn't pull up, how do you create values? It should be very, very specific. And so it's similar in the terms of its information because that's what they do, right? Information is in both statements, but one is about where they want to be, everything in one click, and one is about why it matters. We want people to have access to this information. For Accenture, they talked a lot about like pushing businesses forward. And for their mission statement, theirs is to deliver on the promise of technology and human ingenuity. We help our clients become the next and best versions of themselves. They're a consulting firm. So to them, their purpose is we're here to make everybody the next best version of themselves. That's what we care about. We care about our clients. They're they're emphasizing on that a lot. For Amazon, if you remember, like they talked about like Earth's best employer. They've had a lot of employee complaints, not just from the delivery people, but also their internal staff. I don't know if you guys know this, but like 5 years ago, Amazon got sued because if you got fired by Amazon, you could request a trial by a panel of your peers. So they would like makeshift trial, and like the jury would be like 3 or 4 of your coworkers, and you could fight for your job back. It's so horrible. And then if you got it back, you have to work with that same manager. So the person that tried to fire you has to still be your manager. So you can imagine how that went. But anyways, because of that, they want that to be their vision because they're not good at that, right? So for Accenture, they're already helping people become the next best versions of themselves. That's their purpose. Like they care about that so much. And then finally for Amazon, their mission statement, their purpose is to serve customers through online and physical stores and focus on selection, price, and convenience. Very, very specific, right? This is a great statement. And they have this, I think, in their offices where they want people to know it's all about selection, price, and convenience. Anything else, we don't care about. It's kind of all encompassing, but we want people to have access to a ton of different things. Remember, like before Amazon, we'd go look for plates and there'd be like 3 options for plates. Now you go on Amazon and there's like 25,000 options for plates. And even within those, there's different sizes and different colors. And then they want price, right? They want to beat everybody on price and convenience. They want it to get there as quickly as possible. So as long as they're focused on those three things, that is Amazon. That's their purpose. They want to get people their stuff faster. I actually think they updated it recently because they removed the first part, the online. Oops, they removed the online and physical stores because now they're more than that. Have you guys been to Whole Foods recently? I went to the one on like Lake Mead. They scan your palm. Like that's how you pay now. You don't have to have like a bracelet on or watch on. They just are taking your full handprint. So I hope that makes it clear. I know sometimes there's a lot of confusion between mission and vision and how similar they are, but what we just did is where you see yourselves in 10 years, and that's going to drive you and motivate you to get there. And your mission is your purpose, right? If the way I see it is very intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic is like your purpose. If you're a nonprofit, your mission statement is going to be very powerful, right? Because you're like, this is our purpose. And then the vision statement, like I think 3 squared is like that nobody goes hungry, right? It's almost impossible, like it feels almost impossible to reach it. So for a mission statement, let's talk about your why. Like you guys are founders, you're very passionate about what you're doing. Why are you doing this? What gets you, excited day in and day out? And so what makes a good component of a mission, I wrote that wrong. Think of a mission statement as what your company's trying to do today. Usually that includes asking the following questions. What do we do? What's our core business? For who or where? How do we do it? What sets us apart? Now, these questions are great, but more importantly, I just wanted you to keep focusing on your purpose. What is it that your company is doing that's going to have such a great impact on so many people? Oh, I think somebody already posted something. Okay, I'm going to start a timer for 5 minutes, and then as you guys bring them up, I'll give feedback. Starting now. Okay, yeah, enabling universal data protection, I think is really, really strong. I think it's strong, but also I would caution you because I would imagine anybody in the data protection area is thinking something similar. So try to focus a little bit more on your moat of like, what are we doing that's enabling it a little bit better? I think because yours is so short too, you could probably stretch it out a little bit more. You can also do a 2-part, I guess we call it like a statement, but it can sometimes be 2 sentences, especially if it's like ubiquitous data protection, full stop, and then another thing that makes it a little bit more specific or at least differentiates you guys a little bit. To create a platform, ideas to help dreams, careers thrive, to empower professionals to grow and manage a career in the music industry. I think you can go a little bit bigger, Barton, with your vision statements. I think the last one is the strongest, where the music industry comes together under one roof. And I like the little like in our house. That's probably like your product name, I would imagine. I like that because it says your vision is where everybody in the music industry, so you're like the go-to person. Like they always think of you when they're thinking about somebody that's doing something with the music industry to protect them or whatever it is. So I think that's a good vision where it's like it'll drive you, right? It'll say, okay, we're not the go-to, right? Nobody knows who we are. We need our name out there. We need to promote ourselves more. We need people to come here more. So I really like that last one, but I think there's elements from all of them that are pretty strong. Yeah, that I think you can make it more like still very aspirational, but a little bit more specific in terms of what you do and how you help these music professionals. Okay, John, I think this is a good statement in terms of like what your product actually is. I don't think you have to go into like the details of your product to that degree, right? It goes on for a little bit, like deploy the first universal point of integration for air traffic control, 911 public safety answering. I think take a step back from these products and say, why? Why are you launching these products? What is it about these products that is so purpose driven, is so mission driven? Because it seems like there is a lot. Public safety response. Yeah, like you're helping public safety, you're helping doing a lot of that stuff. I think your mission can be a lot simpler and it can be, this is our purpose. Our purpose is to protect people, or our purpose is to protect people from, I don't know how to summarize it, but I think you get my point of like all of these things put together instead of listing out every single one of the products. Okay, Vickers. I really like this, Vickers. This is good. We're on a mission. to developing confident, top-performing agents, helping employees master critical skills, and leaders develop superior customer experiences. Yeah, this is really, really strong. I think you summarized it really nicely into three things. Our purpose is we want to help these agents, right? We want to instill confidence in these agents. We want to help these employees we want them to master these skills, and we want to provide superior experience to our clients. Amazing. I think you can wordsmith it like all of these. They're all drafts, but I think it's a strong start. Oh, Barton, I'm not sure how to cut it down to one statement. Yeah, it is tough. I mean, it's great what you did because it's always better to start with more and then cut down and it's easier that way than to just start from scratch or work your way up. I think just pick out the elements that matter the most to you, right? Especially when we're thinking about mission, it's like, what matters most to me? Like, what drives me? What do I want everybody in this company to know is their purpose? Like, when you hire an employee and they're like a customer success manager and they go hang out with their friends, what do you want them to tell their friends? They're usually going to talk about the purpose. And be like, I'm really excited. I work for a company that, so for example, a few years back, I used to work for a startup that helped people get out of debt. That was our mission. Our mission was that our mission is to ensure that our mission is to drive, what was it? I can't remember now. It probably wasn't that good statement. But I remember it being something along the lines of like, our mission is to ensure people were well educated when it came to debt, right? Our purpose every day in and day out is to make sure we're educating people on debt and helping them reduce their bad debt. And it meant so much to me. And I would go to friends' houses and I would tell them that's what I did. And I was so excited by it, right? That's one of those cases where the mission is so much more powerful than the vision. Like the vision is nobody with debt. Like, all right, it's great. It's a great vision. It's long term. But that mission statement really drove me day in and day out. Dave, our mission is to exterminate criminal cybersecurity cartel abilities to exploit private data. Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that's what it was. Our mission is to exterminate cybersecurity cartel abilities. Are they cartels? I guess so. Is this like, are they like very organized? I guess they would be. This is totally blowing me away. Our mission is to exterminate criminal cybersecurity cartel abilities to exploit private data. I love this. This is like teaching people things that are new. It's very clear. There's no jargon. Like I understood it completely. And it also identifies, I think for cybersecurity, startups, it's always difficult to sell because you're selling fear. It's insurance sales, right? You can say, hey, what if there's a flood? What if there's a hurt? You want to protect your house, And it's a different type of sell than people who come to you already with a need, right? And so this is actually really, really valuable because I think it would mean a lot to your clients that you're not just protecting them now, you're protecting them, you're always thinking about protecting them. I think this is really strong. Deidre, to revitalize the West Side's current landscape by bringing back businesses and rooftops. Cool. I love this. Deidre, I love what you're doing. So I don't know a lot about the business, but I should learn about this. To revitalize the West Side's current landscape by bringing back businesses and rooftops. Perfect. Yeah, it's totally your purpose. It's totally your mission. That's exactly what you're doing. It makes it very, very clear. I really like this. Again, slight wordsmithing here and there, but overall it looks really, really good. SMARC, Certis ensures professionally multifamily portfolios. Certis ensures professionally multifamily. Oh, so multifamily portfolios that are like by bigger investors, like not just like me buying a multifamily. Certis ensures we leverage exclusive operational data to empower owner operators and their brokers to finally take ownership of their cost of risk. Okay, it's a bit of a mouthful, and I can see somebody not understanding some of this, but that might be okay for you because the thing with like insurance and finance and whatever is your clients already are going to know what it means, your employees are going to know what it means, and investors will also understand it because they're kind of in that industry. So it's sort of okay, whereas sometimes when investors don't understand, you have to like make sure it's a little bit more plain English. But I think there's some wordsmithing here for sure. Let me read this again. We leverage exclusive operational data to empower owner operators and their brokers to finally take ownership. Okay, I like this. Maybe not the word leverage. Maybe it's not like this is how we do it, but a little bit more why it matters to us. Yeah, this feels more like just a statement, like just a statement that would be on your website. You might want to say something along the lines of like, start with using the words our purpose. That always helps. Our purpose is to protect professional multifamily portfolios by leveraging data and taking ownership for their cost of risk, something along those lines. Oh, absolutely, cartels, insurance cartel, insurance sale, perfect. Oh yeah, that's crazy. I want to learn so much about this. Cybersecurity cartel, that's fascinating. Richard, to launch and build, my purpose is to launch and build a brand that reignites respect, dignity, and service. Yeah, I think this goes back to also the vision statement of like, it seems like you haven't launched your company, which is why you talk about it as like, my vision is to create, my mission is to launch. I think I would take those words out and I would just speak as if I've already launched that product and I've already launched that business. Unless, were you the one that said you're going to launch it in 2 to 3 years at the beginning? Let me scroll back up. Yeah, you are. Okay. Hope to be a founder in 2 to 3 years. Okay. Then yeah, I would say, okay, you can keep that definitely because it's 2 to 3 years. So that can be like, okay, you think about like my purpose is to launch this thing that ignites dignity, service, respect. My vision is to launch a product. I haven't worked with anybody that's a few years out from launching, so this is a little different, but I totally see why you would keep those words. I would recommend you keep that. Professionally management. Yeah, figured. Thank you. Okay, cool. So we only have 2 minutes. That was really good. You guys got through that pretty quickly. That is it. Oh no, I don't have my website on here. I'm sure Audrey will share my website and email and stuff like that. So you guys can feel free to email me. You can send me your mission vision statements if you want. But yeah, I would also, I'm great at like the initial building of it. I am not a wordsmith, as you can tell by my lack of vocabulary. So I would recommend finding a marketer that can help you really like flesh it out.
Awesome. Faye, thank you so much once again. Lots of great feedback here. And again, we will be sharing Faye's deck so that you all will have access. And of course, you all can also join the Founder University online portal and have access to this recording and the deck itself. Faye, again, once again, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time and coming in, always. Everyone else, we will be very excited to have you back on the 28th. So next week, we'll have Brandon Ward presenting on team dynamics and emotional intelligence. So again, this is continuing of the company culture series of the Founder University sessions. And a reminder, so all attendees that attend at least 80, I believe 80% of these sessions will get you set up with your deal room hosted by StartUpNV. That way, when you consider you are already starting to raise capital from investors, you have a easily accessible and deliverable information vault with all the information that they need to see to make an assessment on your company, or that they might need to see in the future to make assessment on your company. But again, thank you everyone for being with us. Everyone have a wonderful day, and we will see you in 1 week.